Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? My name is Tony Rizano, and you are listening to another episode of the world famous, the University Love, the best podcast in one, two, three galaxies. But, ladies and gentlemen, you and I, we just call this show Online Marketing Moves. We are coming to you live today. Today is June the 18th, 2024. Ladies and gentlemen, this is about as live as this show is gonna get. Okay, it is 5 o'clock in the morning, and I am recording. And as soon as I'm done recording, I will upload, and this show will be out before 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, this is very live. But, ladies and gentlemen, before we get started, I'm going to give you a little tip to help you out along the way in your journey. Now, if you want to make okay, I'm going to give you an example. Now, this show is a vehicle. This podcast is not going to get, because we talk about marketing, we talk about entrepreneurship, we talk about that kind of stuff. This show is not going to get, DraftKings is not going to come along and throw us down a big chunk of money. Okay. Now, that kind of if you want that kind of sponsorship, if you want that kind of deal like a DraftKings or any kind of gambling site, you would do more sports based content, okay? And you would try to build you would build your audience, and I would tell I would tell you to talk about a a, a specific team, not just the whole, like NFL, because there are a lot of people doing shows about the NFL. But if you can break it down to like maybe a conference or something like that, you could still get you could still get money from a gambling site, okay? And of course you would use that money to increase the productivity of your show and all that good stuff. But when you are doing a show like this, you want to have products, services that you can offer people, so that way when you get more and more listeners, they can go to your website and all this and all that. That's just a little tip from me to you, okay? Because you have to realize, like, I know, we every day we get more and more listeners. It's growing, okay? But I know that nobody's gonna come and say, hey, I really love, marketing is, nobody's gonna say, hey, marketing is one of the most important things. We want to give you $100 million. No, that's not gonna happen. I need to, you know, sell products, services, affiliate marketing, things of that nature to guide this show. But if you want money, if you want to make like sponsorship money, like real sponsorship money, you might want to do entertainment or sports or movies, things of that nature. You understand what I'm saying? That's just a little tip from me to you. Okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to talk about something very important. Today we are going to talk about you and your creativity. You don't realize how much creativity you have until you start doing creative things. Okay. I will give you a perfect example. And now, ladies and gentlemen, as I tell you all the time, this is not a me show. This is a we show. This show is for you, but I have to give you first world examples. And the only person I know that I can give examples to is me. Okay. I can't, as my mother would say, I don't have the operation of everybody's mind. Okay. So I will give myself for an example. I didn't realize how much creativity I had until I started doing the podcast. You have to come up with topics, come up with headlines, you write this stuff out, and this has led to more and more writing. This has led to a lot of other things. I just had an idea, I wrote it down, and I'm like, all right, we're gonna work on that. We're gonna make that happen. And you just get more and more creative. And the creative flow can come at any time. It can come from anywhere. And ladies and gentlemen, one thing I will tell you, I know some of you are not as old as I am. So a lot of you young people might not do this. But if I was you, I would carry like a little notebook, a little either, index cards or a little notebook in my wallet, in my pocket, somewhere around close, in your little man purse, in your purse, whatever you people do, you know, I would, and the reason why I say write it down when if you write it on the phone, a lot of times you don't really go and look at the phone notes. I do from time to time. I write stuff down on the phone every now and then if I don't have a piece of paper on me, or if I'm somewhere, like in the store, and I was just making a run to the store and I see something and I think about it, and I go, let me write it down. I'll write it in the phone notes, but as soon as I get home, I write it down on the index card, and I have a bunch of index cards down in my office that I write stuff on, and it helps, and it helps with the creativity. It helps, if you see a show, if you watching a movie, a TV show, a baseball game, if you spend the time with friends and family, there's a lot of different ideas you can get. There's a lot of different creative things that you can come just from talking to people, talking to strangers, talking to friends, talking to family, talking to your kids, even like me spending time with my daughter. One day I noticed that my daughter is only in the babies are only in the present. They don't think about the past. They're not looking for the future. Babies are like right there, and they're right there in that moment. This is the moment. This is it. That's that. And so I thought about that. I wrote that down, and that was the episode. Okay. And so you can get creativity from a 6-month old. You can get you can get it from anywhere. Any source. Tap into any source. Don't think, oh, I can't use this. I can't use that. As I told you before, the wheel has been invented. People have odd ideas all the time, but there are different ways to talk about it. Some people, if they do a show about marketing, they're not going to talk to you about wrestling. They're not going to talk to you about Andy Griffith. They're not going to talk to you about Seinfeld. They're not going to talk to you about truck driving, the Navy. They're going to be they're going to have a different perspective on things, and you have a different perspective on me. Than what I have. If you want to do the same kind of podcast that I'm doing, and you're like, I'm into, balloons, you would talk about balloons, you would talk about this, you would talk about that. Not saying, there's no right or wrong way to be creative. There's no right or wrong way. That's the best thing about artistic. That's the best thing about being artistic. If you write poetry, there's no right or wrong poem. There's no structure. There's no, a lot of times people say, oh man, what's the formula for this? What's the formula for that? When it comes to being creative, there's no formula. The only thing that you should not do is not come up with things, not have ideas, not use them, not apply them, not, don't, you know, quitting on something is the worst thing you can do when it comes to being creative. If I've done we've done 800 episodes, of this podcast. So we talked about any and everything, and the crazy part is 800 episodes sound like a lot, but the crazy part is we haven't even scratched the surface on where we can go, what we can do. I the more I grow, the more I get better with this, the more the show will get better, and the more you will be able to enhance more of the stuff that the creativity that I produce and give to you, the more you will be able to accept it, receive it, listen to it, and hopefully go out and be just as creative in your own way, in your own right, and doing whatever you want to do. hopefully this show inspires you, as I've listened to other shows that have inspired me to do things, be creative, and it's not just about, oh, let me sit down and tap into my brain. You, like as I told you, you can get creativity from a child. You can get it from your parents. You can get it from your spouse. You can get it from the milkman, the TV man, newspaper boy, anywhere. You know what I'm saying? But it's it's wide open, and I highly recommend that if you haven't started creating content for yourself, that you do it. Just try it out. Try a blog, try a YouTube channel, try a podcast. Just go out and write that book that you always wanted to write that movie script. See where your creative brain, and it's also fun. It's not just about, oh, I want to make $1 million. Hey, don't get me wrong. We all want to make money, but the thing about this is when I record, and when I'm talking to you, and I'm talking in this microphone, and I'm blah 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 blah. I enjoy myself. I like it. I love it. I have a great time, and then I'm always like, woof. You know, that was fun. I can't wait to do it again, tomorrow. And then sometimes, like I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning this morning, and I had this idea, and I just started writing it down. And I said, all right, this is going to be the finish. Now I had to go from the finish. I had to go from the beginning to the end. I already know how it's going to end. I already know. I have it written down and all that. But now the fun part is how to connect the dots to go from A to B all the way to Z. Okay? So the creativity, let it flow through you. And as a matter of fact, the more that you do it, the better off you will be. And another thing that I want to discuss with you about real quick is, I was thinking, you know, being creative, and I'm like, I have one podcast, but I have so much more to talk about, to discuss and all this kind of stuff. And so, I've realized now that Spotify will let you do more than one podcast. So I'm like, all right, we are going to increase the podcast, and get that going. And that's just a little. So in the future, I will let you know. And if you want to listen to them, be my guest. If not, that's all right. As long as you keep listening to this show, you are okay with me. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have a question for you, and I'm going to write this down in the poll. I'm going to make a poll. Normally we don't make polls that often, but today I will. And I want to know, what's your favorite place to visit? Now, it can be anywhere in the world, any place, anything. If it's somebody you like to go visit, we don't want to know about you. You want to visit in, but what's a place? What's a city? What's a country? What's a town? Where in the world, if there's anywhere that you could go for 2 days, where would you pick? All right. And so, ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, go out, be creative. Let the creative juices flow. Okay? And we will be back tomorrow with the all new episode of Online Marketing Moves. And if you haven't already, ladies and gentlemen, go to the YouTube channel, subscribe, follow Tony Rizzano on the YouTube channel. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're on Spotify, follow us on Spotify. You know, we gotta boost up those Spotify numbers, And other than that, that's it. We'll be back tomorrow with all new episode of Online Marketing Moves. But until then, my name is Tony Rizzano. Thank you for listening. God bless. And as always, everybody, peace. Goodbye.